Right, let's get started. Welcome to the February 10th SIG Multicluster call. And on the agenda today, we only have the annual report and there's some topics for Thursday's APAC call that could be interesting to discuss in this one as well. I'll try to share my screen. All right. Arthur's adding some attempts to scrub. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries, that's fine. All right, well, while Arthur does that, I'll get started on the topic. So the annual report, I think there's not all that much to discuss in this call. I've left a bunch of comments on it that I need to resolve with Laura. She can't make the call today. And right, yeah. So Mike, yeah, thanks. That's the topics I was going to bring up tomorrow. Sorry, from Thursday. We'll talk about them today as well. Uh, so there's a PR that's been opened to add a release workflow, a proper release workflow to the cluster inventory API, and that's quite good timing because we're also discussing that in this doc here. Um, and I think it does pretty much what we were looking for. So essentially, it publishes some images to the SIGs namespace on ghcr.io, which is the official SIGs repo. And there's a well-defined release process. And as I understand it, it allows, so I haven't actually looked at how it works yet, but from the description, I think the versions can be separated. So plugins can have a different version from the actual tag, which is a desired goal mentioned somewhere further down. And yeah, so and compared to MCS API's requirement, this is seen as slightly different because the main goal is to provide images, and so that's actually something that we'd probably want for MCS API as well. Provide images containing the conformance test. We also provide the Go library, so the tag is important. But this is something that would be specific to cluster inventory API because we don't have things that have separate versions. So I don't know if anybody has any comments on this just as it currently stands. I mean, I know Mike's reviewed it already. Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, everything you said was valid. I think the discussion will be better on Thursday when the contributor
Yeah,
is going to be
we'll
in
be
the
there.
call. But I want to mention that, while we are talking about the plugins and the releasing images, I feel like equally important, maybe even more important, is to release our API. So we have a stabilized version,
Yeah,
not necessarily stabilized API, but like stabilized version, even if it's alpha. And I feel like that's missing. And I don't know if the doc mentioned that. I think the doc has been updated, so I need to reread it. But I feel like that's something that MCS API have done well, or at least I think it has done well because consumers have been consuming through the version. But it's missing in cluster inventory API at all. And if we look at Q, which has adopted the cluster profile, they just
hmm
import using a
yeah, that
commit
commit
reference.
reference.
Yeah, which is not the greatest.
Yeah, yeah,
So
because
we
there haven't been any releases at all. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So in that,
yeah,
while we were talking about the plugin and stuff, we should also talk about how we can do a proper releases. And I put in a comment saying we should follow MCS API. What I meant by that is we should at least do the API releases maybe even first,
yeah.
because without the API releases, there is no plugin fields. The plugin fields and the credential field actually came later, right? Like we first
Uh-huh.
the cluster profile, and then we have the credential stuff added in. So I feel like the API releases is quite important, just to get that out there. So for the consumers to maybe they don't even need the plugins yet, they don't need the credential part yet, but at least for the consumer to have confidence. I'll say that it's the right word to describe it. Confidence that the API is at least stable enough for them to consume.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, similar to the MCS API. So that's, yeah, right. So I understand now your comment about tying it into the MCS API process because that's the goal of the doc and on the MCS API. I've been doing the MCS API releases manually, and the goal there was to um, add some proper workflow around that. Um, okay, so
That's
yeah,
great.
so we'll discuss that on Thursday
Yep.
as well. Does anybody else have anything to add or any experience with Kubernetes SIG's release processes? And I'll take that as a no. So let's
I,
look at the other. Yeah,
I
sorry, go
also
ahead.
want to mention that I don't know how long it'll take for us to define the process and then maybe tie all the other MCS API and other SIG MC we pull together to follow this workflow. But I would really like to push, even if it's an ad hoc one off case, that we do a release. We do a release with cluster inventory API just to get that version out there. Like maybe
Yeah,
even follow what SIG, not SIG MC, MCS API have,
MCS API. Yeah,
because that's when I went to kind of like a postmortem with discussion with the Argo CD maintainer after the credential talk is they the first question is they're like, hey, is this API stable? Like I don't even see a release. So that was kind of awkward, right? Like I mean I spent an hour talking
yeah,
about, this API is great because we have all these great contributor reviewers that approved it. And then we beat it to death for like 1 to 2 years. and then we don't even have a so
Yeah.
I would like that to be out there first. John, go ahead.
I was wondering if it's going to include a auto-generated changelog. So some projects do a release workflow where it collects the commit messages, and if they are formatted in a specific way, they will be listed as part of the release log or change log. Imagine right now it's mostly just changes that are agreed upon and they're just written out manually. If I look at the PR, it doesn't seem to be something specific for that. I don't know if that is in scope for this.
Yeah, I'm not sure we should block on that, but it is an interesting point. Um, so it's a sort of thing where yeah, you need to define the process before you can actually start preparing content for the next release, so that because you need to know how uh, the information needs to be stored in commits or in PRs and whatnot. Um, so what I'm saying is I don't think we need to have that well defined before we actually start making releases because, for instance, if we for cluster inventory API, there won't really be a changelog because the first release is just the first release. And then for MCS API, anything that's been done since the last release doesn't have the necessary information for an auto generated changelog. Then on the other hand, if we do wait for the to have well, if we can discuss it quickly and have something in place for the next release, then as soon as we cut the next release, we can start having commits with the information for the auto-generated changelog. Yeah. But we went through that. I've been through this for a couple of other projects, and we never really found anything absolutely satisfactory. So the main issue is really that well, so because the GitHub review interface doesn't allow you to review commits, the commit message itself, if you want to get decent changelog information in the commit itself, well, it doesn't work all that well because you can't review it. Um, the other approach is just to have it in the PR, same as is done on Kubernetes. And that means the information is only in the PR and not in the commits themselves, which seems a bit of a shame. But then well, we're starting to discuss it, right? So
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
whole new can of worms, but indeed you do need to have something in place. Also, like standardized messaging conventions, things like that.
yeah.
There's a whole list of things. The question is, of course, is the change log going to be big enough to warrant automation for it? I mean, automation just as for size or for scale, but it's also for consistency and for removing
Hmm.
that part of the process from your cognitive load. Uh, yeah, there. I also have not found a well, not even a perfect. I have found a good solution. Only found
Hmm.
okay enough solutions, and then you use them, and they are still great. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely it's early not. That's what I was thinking about it. It's earlier on in the process, so yeah, if there
yeah,
ever was a time to start thinking about
yeah.
it,
It's now.
style. And yeah, it doesn't need to happen for the first releases because, like you said, there is no changelog because, well, the previous version didn't exist. So yeah, that
Yeah,
makes the changelog infinity.
yeah, yeah. But maybe we can look at. Oh, well, I'll have a look at what's or anybody else can do this as well. So I think maybe in multi-cluster runtime they have something in place for this. Uh, but maybe some other SIG projects have something like this. But anyway, yeah, because it's probably best to be consistent. Um, but yeah, thanks for raising that because it is an important point. Okay, and so well, I'll jump back to the scrubs then. So let's see. I think these are PRs that I've. All right, no. Okay, so that yeah, this one. All right. Yeah, thanks for the reminder. I just need to look at the reports. I'll revisit that.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, and then the fixes to the conformance test suite. That's been LGTM'd as well. Okay, well I'll take a look at that. And then, all right, yeah, the About API.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
with
So this is a
the
real PR. Yeah, go ahead.
so on my side, like with the recent like MCS API initiative that would build on About API, plus the fact that I would like to integrate with SIG network policy, I would be hopeful to like use beta v1 of About API. But as far as I know, we haven't like properly bumped everything in beta, like the Go client isn't generated or something, if I understood from the discussion. And there's this PR that like upgrade Kubernetes to v4, but it's like a huge thing that does many things. And I tried to review it, and well, I made like a message like 2 months ago, like asking the author to split a bit more the things, and he
Yeah.
didn't answer. So, which, as I wrote in the minutes, it's mostly all bad because we waited like 6 months to review it. So totally
Yeah.
understandable. But at this point, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So I ran into the same problem with this. It's just too big to review, and split up in the wrong way. So yeah, it feels like it would be easier just to redo the PR than actually get it reviewed, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to sort it out anyway, because the main thing, the main reason to do this was to deduplicate the repo, because the Byte API has two versions of the API sitting side by side, and we need to fix that.
Right. So I mean, I can take a look if we consider this the author like he abandons his work, but yeah, if someone would like to do it, please like do it. Essentially, I don't know if we would want to have some maybe works that need to be picked up at in somewhere in our SIGs. Maybe that could be useful.
Yeah. So I think there's actually an issue for this one.
Maybe.
Right. Okay. So there's the update. There's not one for deduplication. But yeah, the cube builder bump is there. So we should I'll open an issue at least so we know it's there. Yeah, because it's all defined in cluster property. And then again in package, if I remember correctly. Yes. See here, there's cluster property API, v1 alpha 1, v1 beta 1, and there's the old v1 alpha 1 here. So
so there is a beta v1, but the client is generated? Because this is only the type.
Yeah, that's just the type, and I don't see. Well, there's a there's a generative time, but just for the old one. So essentially, so what wasn't clear to me, so I think if I remember correctly, last time I looked at this, there are differences between the types defined in v1 alpha 1 here and there.
Oh, okay.
So we need to fix that. make sure that. All right, yeah. And so there's another problem, which is that the project file, the KubeBuilder project file is inside cluster property, and I suspect it would make more sense for it to be a multi-group projects in the root directory, but if we could keep it that way. So essentially what we need to do is just make sure that the v1 alpha 1 from here matches the one that's in there, and then delete this one and update everything so that we generate the clients for both v1 alpha 1 and v1 beta 1 here.
Could we just try to
move
match
everything to the
what's in?
root?
Could we try to match what's in MCS API or something? I don't know if the other project makes sense or not.
So what's in? Yeah, so I think MCS API is just there's a package.
Yeah. And the API is there.
API is v1 alpha 1.
And the client is just right next to it, which is auto-generated.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it that way. Yeah, so I'm actually, so this doesn't use Kube Builder, if I remember correctly. It's just the Kube Code Gen.
Okay, so maybe that's why.
And controller gen, and that's probably the difference. Yeah.
I think no, controller gen is also used by MCS API.
Yeah, controller gen. Yeah. Right. So I guess Kube Builder behind the scenes, but there's no Kube Builder project. There's no Kube Builder project as such, and so you don't end up with all the customized stuff in where are the CRDs? Config CRD. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly the same setup, but in a weird. Oh yeah, sorry, you were looking at MCS API. I thought you were looking at the
So this is MCS API.
There is no CRD base, but maybe it doesn't need it because CRD base is for like setting stuff that are not easily set up in code directly via the generation.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly the same. It's just twisted a bit.
Yeah. It's mostly the same. At least this one, the old one, and the new one was done with Kube Builder. Because there's project file here.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Weird.
But yeah, I'll so right, and then once we've done that, we should have a release for about API as well, so that clients can pull in the generated client nicely.
Yep. And so about like works that need to be picked up or something, if like some contributor wants to join and are looking for something to do, is that something we would like to have, or maybe it's doesn't really happen?
Yeah, so something like what's the label that's often used?
It's like oh yeah, help wanted.
Well, there's help wanted
yeah.
already.
Oh, okay. So we could have help wanted everywhere we need to have some help, and have maybe a link in our meeting note or somewhere. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Have a link in the meeting notes. Yep.
I don't know if it would work, but can try.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because like this scrub, you have like a super query with like SIG multicluster labels, and we could have one just with need helps or help wanted. I don't
Yeah.
remember help wanted.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I can just do that. Okay, we just add something. You are looking to help the SIG. Hey, here's the issue.
Yeah. here's the list of issues that we need help. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
All right. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay. Well, that's the agenda covered. So if there aren't any other topics, perhaps we can end it early. I see John nodding. All right. Well, have a good rest of the week, and maybe I'll see some of you on Thursday in the APAC call.
Thanks. See you.
Bye.
Bye.